to open up Misery Mire, Turtle Rock, and of course, Couple located in Ice Palace.
Yep, and it looks like we are started. The chest is a secret to everybody, and a blue rupee to jump us off here.
Yep, we are doing the standard mode, so we're going to get some sort of weapon to start us off, which is nice in Ice Swordless Seed. It's like, well, we'll have at least some weapon. We're hoping it's not the Cane of Burna. While logically you can get through here with the Cane of Burna, it burns magic very, very quickly and doesn't make you invincible.
It looks like we're going to be starting off with bombs today. I mean, with a Swordless Seed, if you're one of these runners, you're really hoping to get that hammer right off the bat, but bombs isn't a bad find either.
No, and both of these runners, I think, are confident enough in their bomb usage through Escape that they'll be able to do it with relative confidence.
Yeah, these are two runners that have a very strong NMG background, both very good times in that. So the execution in this seed, I think, is going to be very good. It's really just going to come down to the routing.
In the meantime, it does look like Eri is... I mean, they're both, trying to get hearts, make sure that it's as safe as you can get. They're both... Man, this sync between these two.
And nice bomb strats from both of them on that first guard, picking up the small key that we will automatically get due to this being a standard seed.
Yep. Otherwise, it's standard. We'd need to get at least one key in order to get through. It's not completely retro quite yet. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with retro mode, it's got some wrinkles in it. We mentioned the take any rooms a little bit earlier.
Some nice bomb strats there from both of them. One of the wrinkles that we see with retro is keys can be used in any dungeon. They are universal, so it's somewhat similar to Key Sanity, but you're gonna just get keys everywhere and be able to use them in any dungeon, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, in hard mode, there's fewer keys that are removed in the world, but the real wrinkle, I think, is because you can purchase those keys anywhere, it can be a little bit nasty because the logic assumes that you can get whatever keys whenever you want it.
Yep, and in Zelda's chest, we found Quake, so that's a good item to start out with.
Now, the other part of retro mode, which can be a little bit dangerous here, is going to be the bow. We will not have any arrows in this game whatsoever. At all, ever, none. Instead, you fire effectively rupees. For your wooden arrows, it will cost you 10 rupees a shot, and for your silvers, which are only accessible, once you find them, are only accessible for Ganon, they'll cost you 50 rupees a shot. So one of the added kind of wrinkles to the game is that you really need to watch your money management, especially when you get to the end, because it costs some rupees to climb Ganon's tower.
Yeah, one of the big things in retro mode is really money management. I mean, we might see our runners go to Houlihan room pretty early just because of that, but I mean, throughout the run, I would not be surprised to see them constantly looking to pick up rupees that are visible to them.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the better retro runners end up doing things like the Houlihan room and picking up all the rupees in the rupee rooms as they're available in Eastern Palace, Palace of Darkness. Seen even one person do the Misery Mire rupee room, which is a little bit out of the way for my taste, but it's there.
And just a big 20 there in the sewers chest. So the nice thing about the bomb start in standard, you don't have to try to farm for any bombs when you're going through it, which means you have an opportunity to get the 3 chests at the back of escape, provided you can get this key rat relatively quickly.
Oh, Osse is having some problems here. Let's see if Eriror nails it. But they're still neck and neck. Wow.
Yeah, and Eriror uses his last bomb there. Osse still has 1 left. Hoping for some bombs back here, but we got a bee in a bottle and a couple of blue rupees.
Hey, the bee in a bottle is a great weapon for something like Mini Moldorm Cave. Don't let that tempt you. Now, if it's the good bee, actually, we're already going to be in Kakariko Village, so I wouldn't be surprised if they check their menu and release that good bee next to the bottle vendor. He'll actually give you 100 rupees if you give the good bee to him. And as we've been talking, rupees are worth their weight in gold, so might see them do that.
And we got another key early on here, so be interesting to see what our runners decide to do here. They might just head straight to CAC, but they might think about getting some monies. Looks like Osse is giving us a map check. Looked like a pendant at Eastern, 5-6 at Hera, and regular crystal at Desert. Eri heading over to set up Houlihan, it looks like.
Yeah, Eri doing this Houlihan room early. He knows he's going to have to purchase some bombs. He is completely out. Meanwhile, Osse is doing kind of more of the traditional routing, I would say, is going to be checking what's on the Lumberjack ledge, but finds the Hoarder Crab dropping big 20s. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's a very good find. And I think for Eri here, part of the reason he might have gone for Houlihan early was because he doesn't have any more bombs, so he might try to buy some really quickly here.
Yeah, we see Osse is like, yeah, I'll do another round of Hoarder Crabs. Yes, absolutely. Eri going to check what's going to... looks like he's going right to a shop because he wants some bombs. And he is rewarded. This is not a key shop, though, unfortunately. Osse is going to be checking these one-off places, hoping for any of those take-any rooms so he can increase his heart capacity a little bit. Fortunately, doesn't find anything.
And it looks like Eri's making the play over to Sahasrahla here in Eastern. Not the most common play, but it is a good one, as Osse has found the hookshot.
Oh, that's going to help a ton, especially with early game movement. We still don't have the boots, but that hookshot can function in a similar fashion, moving you around. That's a very nice thing to get, especially when it's a swordless seed.
Yes, very good indeed. Let's see what we got in the back of Sahasrahla's closet. Bunch of money and some silver arrows. That's a good find for Ganon.
I mean, silvers are nice. I mean, they'll be great for Ganon because, you know, really can't defeat Ganon in swordless without silvers. The hard part is they cost 50 rupees a shot, and you can only use those silvers for Ganon. So that's something I'm sure he'd much rather have something else other than that at the moment.
Yeah, right now I agree with that. I mean, just dealing with swordless Ganon, that phase 4 is really, really tough if you don't have the silvers, and you have to practice that quite a bit, getting the hammer hits on the perfect frame. And we see some blue mail over at the race game.
Ooh, and the flute is actually in Blind's basement. So that's going to be a nice pickup. While we're here in Kakariko, we're not going to have to come back here for a while, though. But you mentioned the blue mail. Remember, this is hard mode, so while there are 2 armor upgrades that are located around here, we can only ever get one of them. So that's going to be our armor upgrade for the race, really.
Yeah, and one of the things with hard mode as well, it's not going to be applicable to this seed because it's swordless, but usually in hard mode, you're only able to get up to tempered sword as well. And then the other thing that happens in hard mode is the highest shield you can get is the fire shield.
Ooh, that was the Cane of Samaria, located on the library. We don't have any idea exactly what is required yet from Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. Those might be pendants, and we may not have to touch them, but more than likely that's going to be required, which makes this a Boots Lock seed.
Yep, and we found one of those shops that's got keys and also the wooden arrows for purchase.
Now, there is a glitch in the game, and we should talk about it, that if you do not have the silvers and you have not purchased the wooden arrows, the bow by itself will default to firing wooden arrows, so you can get away with not buying them. However, as soon as you find those silvers, it kind of locks them in, and since you can't use silvers in hard mode, it means that it's a very, very smart purchase by Eri to go ahead and buy those wooden arrows.
And there's our hammer in Kakariko Well. Runners are going to be very pleased to see that right now.
Absolutely. Consistent damage. That's kind of a huge item that we find very frequently early on. And a fire rod in the well.
Wow, Cat Well with a ton of value this seed already.
I mean, in general, Kak had hookshot, fire rod, flute, hammer, blue mail, and the Cane of Samaria, which Ose did not go to the south and check, so he actually is missing both the blue mail and the location of where the Cane of Samaria is. That's going to be significant if Ose starts hunting around for things.
Yeah, for sure, and especially because, I mean, once we find those boots, it's not the most convenient thing to go out there and get, go down and check that, but he might. 300 rupees at the dam, as well as a small key. That's very helpful for all of our dungeons.
And Ose absolutely abusing hoarder crabs right now. Big 20 in a retro mode seed. Yeah, abuse it. Abuse it while you can.
Yeah, for sure. So while Eri picks up his flute, we're going to get a quick look here at Mini Moldorm Cave. Now that hookshot is really nice for this. Just one shots these Mini Moldorms. You know, it makes it just a lot simpler to take care of this.
Absolutely. It's just super convenient. Ose in here in the Mini Moldorm. I think that's a couple heart containers, actually, so tunnel of love here.
Yeah, it's a pretty great find. So looking at what we've got right now, I would say we might be seeing a Hera play pretty soon here.
It makes sense. We do have logical access. No flute, and so we do still have logical access to Death Mountain at this point in time because we can get across and even over to Tower of Hera once we get there. Ose is making one play that is technically out of sequence here without the lamp, and it can be a little bit difficult if you don't have anything. Oh, hello. We just got an answer to a question. If it was normally a sword, what would it give you in hard mode swordless? Apparently the Take Any Room will give you 300 rupees.
Wow, that is super generous for a hard mode seed. I would be expecting like 100 or 50.
I thought it was just going to be another sword where it was going to give you 20.
So the old man only holding on to 20 rupees. See if Ose decides to just head straight right, and it looks like he's going to. So we won't get a look at Spec Rock yet. We will have to look at that later.
I think he's expecting that to at least be the play on his way back down. However, That does mean that he will have to make a choice. Does he do Spiral Cave or does he do the Spectacle Rock Cave check afterwards? He can only go down one.
Yeah, and Eri making an interesting play just to check that ledge really quick. Information in Randomizer is a very good thing to have, so knowing what the item is on Desert Ledge is helpful for that.
And there, we did just see one of the 20 rupee upgrades. It wasn't just a normal big 20. It was similar to the 50 and 100 rupees that you were talking about earlier. That would have been a sword. Too bad it's swordless. I'm not going to lie. Oh, Cane of Burna and another 50 rupees. This is the richest seed I have seen for a retro mode seed ever.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, we're 16 minutes in, and Osse already has nearly 1,300 rupees. That is amazing. And he didn't even do Houlihan Room.
He didn't do Houlihan, and he didn't get that other 300 that was in the Take Any room. That was our first check for that one. So he has another 500 rupees that he has access to right now. If you got everything, Osse could be sitting close to 2,000 rupees already. And never mind retro mode, you're set for the race.
Yeah, even with all the things that you have to pay money for, like Zora, digging game, chess game. I mean, they still would probably have, if they picked up all those rupees, probably still have around like 1,000 kicking around. So that's got to be pretty nice to have.
Osse ends up seeing just another big 20 on Spectacle Rock itself. Eri is going to be the first one to show us what's going to be in the cave, though. He is doing the more traditional routing there.
Yeah, and with the introduction of the hint system, this is actually a pretty nice play because you're able to you might get some information here that will help you later on in the seed.
Some cash requires the Cane of Samaria. That's our first check. And look at that lamp right before a fire location.
Yep, and we just saw the blue boomerang on Eri's end. And also finding out that there's a piece of heart in Palace of Darkness. So that's one of our 5 items that we'll find there.
All right, so Eri is going to be on his way over. So we know that Spectacle Rock cave check is going to end up being nothing. It just depends on if Osse ends up checking that. He's not been shy about not checking things that are kind of right in his way. We saw he just completely bypassed the library and the race game, which had some significant value to them.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like our big key is locked in the basement of Hera, so it's a little unfortunate. Osse is going to Death Warp here because it does not have the mirror. Good heads-up play right there.
Absolutely. Just being very aware. I mean, in hard mode, let's face it, it's not terribly difficult. You only have 5 hearts, and at least in Osse's case, he only has green mail, so not too difficult to Death Warp at this point. Did that disco ball just fall itself down?
It might have.
There's another big 20. A unique item is in the chest requiring a specialist to unlock. That's actually a super awesome hint right there. That means I imagine they'll be doing the Jeremiah loop there quite a bit earlier than they normally would. Makes it a priority and a vanilla jawbreaker.
Wow, that's a really nice find. So one thing I also forgot about, and Osse just reminded me, the item counts in retro mode are actually a little different. Whereas you normally have 2 items that you can find in Tower of Hera, there are 3 because the small key is taken out of the item pool inside of Tower of Hera. This is also applicable to any other dungeon, which means that some of these other dungeons are going to have a little more value to them than they normally would.
Absolutely. For example, Misery Mire, which normally only has 3 items located in them, up to 5 now, or 2. It goes from 2 to 5, actually. So it goes from a low end to a high end dungeon. That being said, those dungeons like Palace of Darkness that require lots of keys and therefore a lot of money investment, they're loaded.
And Osse takes down Moldorm. Fell a little bit there, but stuck it out and did a great job knocking him down.
Eri remembers, oh, I have to go down to the basement to get myself the lamp.
Yeah, and on the topic of dungeons too, one of the dungeons you don't think about having items can have items. Agahnim Tower normally has 2 keys. It's got 2 items now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a check of that at some point as well.
That would be interesting. So Osse ends up foregoing the spiral cave up on Death Mountain. That'll be an interesting location to keep in mind. We have no idea what's there. Eri, unfortunately, takes a death while he's trying to collect that big key.
Yeah, I think he was trying to set up the death warp early there and just missed on one of the boomerang throws, unfortunately.
So we are 1 item away from our Dark World access. We need a lift upgrade somewhere in order for us to reliably get there. Otherwise, we have our access to go ahead and defeat Aga if we really need to. So there's a few places we need to check yet.
Yep, and Osse is going to elect to do some fake flippers, which means everything that he's about to check is out of logic currently because we do not know where the flippers are. This also includes Zora, which our runners both have enough money to pay off.
And the Zora checks are always scary in retro mode because 500 rupees! That's a lot of keys!
Yeah, for sure. And there we go, setting up the reverse fake flipper from Hobo. Nicely done there by Osse. And Eriror manages to get the death warp there and will be making his way up Tower of Hera.
So logically, what do we have left to check? We have an Eastern Palace dip, and we have Agahnim, and that's it.
Yeah, I think just that, and then Aga Tower is also within logic as long as you purchase another key. Well, in Osse's case, if you purchase another key, Eri already has 2 keys.
And Osse finding out what the waterfall fairy is going to give to us, and it is red goo.
That's a pretty nice find. So in hard mode with potions, red potion will heal you, I believe it's 7 hearts. Green potion will give you back half of your magic meter, and then a blue potion will do both of those things.
I'll be honest, I don't know about this particular Zora check here for Osse. I think he's trying to avoid dipping Aga at this point in time, but if Aga just leads to the flippers to be able to come up here, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, just a key.
And that's an expensive key when you can buy those for 100 rupees back in CAC. So Osse still has not gone over towards the eastern area. He may also make a play on eastern once he gets there too.
Yeah, I think Eri might be a little bit less inclined to check it. Eri is also, I imagine, going to give us an interesting check here in the Spiral Cave, which, again, Osse opted against doing. So we'll see what that ends up happening. Osse getting ready to buy some keys. This might be that Aga Tower play you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely possible right now. 100% within the logic due to the keys that we have. All right, and now we're getting a Spiral Cave check from Eri here. Interested to see what we end up finding back here. Also, I think we missed it earlier, but I believe I saw the mushroom on Lake Hylia Island.
Oh, Osse must be psychic. That was the single green rupee. Oh my, that's an incredible skip there by Osse. That's amazing. Poor Eri was like, oh, thanks for the single rupee.
Yeah, and the nice thing for Eri here is now that he has the lamp, this is going to be a breeze to just walk through. I mean, this is one of the easier dark rooms to manage. If you're trying to learn dark rooms, I highly recommend this one and then the first Eastern Palace ones. But having the lamp is just really nice. You can just see everything.
So if you're Osse and you go through here and you find the glove, do you nope out? Do you say, I'm not going to go ahead and beat Aga because I already have my Dark World access and not waste that time?
I think at the most, since we know there's nothing at Lumberjack, what he might do is get up to the hint tile and then maybe save and quit afterwards.
I can see that. That hint tile really does kind of put a different crimp in this. It's like, okay, what is worth it?
Yeah, but unfortunately, only finding a 50 rupee and a piece of heart at Aga Tower, so nothing for Dark World access here, outside of completing the dungeon.
So either Osse is making a prophetic play because we still have all of Eastern Palace and Agina's Cave available to us, and Eri is going to be checking Agina's Cave right now. If this is a glove of any kind, this puts Eri in a very good position over Osse.
Yeah, for sure. Osse is actually setting himself up pretty well here if the glove ends up being elsewhere, because they have access to pretty much all of Dark World right now. Because they have the hookshot and the hammer, they can get to the western side of it, and they can also, go towards Pod, which is nice.
I'm going to bet that because Osse purchased a ton of keys, he's planning on going from here right over into Pod, which has an insane amount of treasures, but a lot of locked doors. So you do need a lot of keys to be able to go there. But with all these rupees that we had early on, it really makes wanting to flex that advantage quite a bit more. And Eri is going over here to Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one item from Dark World access, it takes a lot to go and rush Aga. So it'll be interesting to see if this will pay off for Eri or if Osse ends up making the right play here.
Well, Eri's at half a heart. He's got to be really careful here.
Yeah, and Hammer Aga is not easy at all. It's definitely it's much harder than if you have the sword. It's even harder than if you have the bug net, which I personally prefer. But this is going to be interesting to see how he handles this.
2 blue balls so far for Osse. Not getting terribly lucky with those blue balls up to this point in time. We'll see how he ends up going, and there's a 3rd normal shot.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to remember too, Osse ended up skipping that blue mail, didn't even bother to check race game or the library, which we know the library has Canis Maria, race game having blue mail, so little tougher right now.
What are we at? 3 or 4 blue balls by this point?
I'm gonna say it's more blue balls than our runners would like to have.
That's fair. It's also worth pointing out that Osse did miss the first shot, so he will have an inflated blue ball count.
Yep, but he manages to take down Aga. Pretty good fight. Only missed that one, and now he's got his Dark World access.
All right, is there something we want to see here? 5, so this might have been... All right, Eri, we're running out of options. Eri, what are you going to show us? I think the last chest has to be the big key, and then the big key treasure chest. Meanwhile, Green Pendant in Pod and Thieves Town. The other 5/6 crystal is in Skull Woods, which we already have the fire rod for.
Yep, and with this being swordless, our runners can actually just go straight to Mothula and clear out that dungeon. Because the vines will already be pre-cut. Alright, so we're going to be getting a hype cave check. How much hype do you think we're going to see today, Vitasia?
We already have 1 sword. I would call that hype. I'm gonna say I'm hoping at least a 6 to 10. But hey, bow. Actually, yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably give that a 7. That was pretty dang good.
And Eriror found nothing in that treasure chest. So Osse made the prophetic call.
Yeah, once again, Osse just making some really good decisions right now. He's going to check another one of these miscellaneous shops to see if it's a take any. And, oh, it's key. That's a good shop to find.
That's not a bad shop right there. Eri also looking like he's purchasing some keys. Osse has got to be a little bit careful now here. Now, he's purchasing keys, but now that he has the bow, you got to remember that those arrow shots are 10 rupees a spot. So he's running around with effectively only 22 arrows at this point in time. And if you're thinking at all about doing an Eastern pod dip, which Osse very well could be doing if he hopes to find the mirror in pod, he could be setting himself up for using quite a bit of rupees.
Yeah, and one thing we need to remember about Pod 2, with Retro Mode, there are normally 6 keys in Pod. That is not the case with this mode, since we have Universal Small Keys, so there are actually 11 items waiting for us in Pod, so this could be a really big dungeon for Osse here.
Yeah, the key in Retro key is if you can do Pod, if you have the keys to do Pod, do Pod.
Oh, it looks like Eri is really stocking up on keys, using all that money that he picked up.
This is the play of a man who has absolutely zero intention of ever going to Zora whatsoever. So, yeah, Eriror looks like he's on his way up. He's probably going to be making a similar play over here into Palace of Darkness once he's done with his Aga fight. Osse is running around and on his way through Dark Palace. Remember, the first treasure chest was the compass, but because we're in retro and where the game logic presumes that we can buy keys at will, there's no quote-unquote key logic. We just assume you can open every key door.
Yeah, and we've already seen 2 of the dungeon items in pod, so pretty much everything else going forward is just going to be straight items and potential value.
Problem is, a lot of them are probably going to be those 5ers. Now, because it's retro mode, all of the bows or all of the arrow items have been replaced with those 5 rupees, which, if you think about it, all of the arrows and arrow capacity upgrades were replaced with half an arrow.
Yep, and we just saw a hint that we've got another bottle just hanging out in Mimic Cave. Don't know if we'll see our runners go and get that today.
All right, and Osse climbing, Eriror also climbing. Let's see, there's the map. So that's literally all the dungeon items at this point in time. Everything else is at least something.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how far Osse is going to end up going in this dungeon. It is Green Pendant, and it's fully clearable. I wouldn't be surprised to see him complete it, but if we find something of value here, you know, might have something at the back of your head just gnawing at you thinking, I'm just going to leave now. It's not worth going all the way down to Helma.
And Osse approaching the famed, always hype rupee room of Palace of Darkness, where you get everything because there's a lot of rupees here.
Yeah, and that certainly has to play into the reasoning behind why both of them purchased so many keys. You know, pod play was definitely strong in their minds, and you know you're going to be able to get a bunch just from coming to this room.
All right, another heart piece leading to a heart refill, more rupees. As many items as available in Palace of Darkness, we haven't seen any value, unfortunately, as of yet. We still have a couple shots, though, and Osse going to set up a hammer yump here, trying to save a key.
And he did it. Nicely done on that hammer yump there. Not too many buffers. It's a tough trick to pull off without buffers.
Another 5er, one more opportunity for this not to be a bust for Osse. Luckily, based on what Eriror did, he's probably thinking the same thing, so it won't be too bad for Osse. Heart container.
Yep, and Osse decides to just dip out of there. I mean, if you see 10 items that just really don't help you outside of... I mean, the only thing that's really helpful there was the heart container, but I mean, running through pod to just get nothing is really disappointing.
So at this point, Osse is going back into the Dark World. So it's going to be looking like he and Ari are very, very close, but that's not necessarily the case. If you're Osse, do you keep on going further south and checking, for example, Stumpy and the Dig Game, or he's already showing us he's heading north?
Yeah, and this is a pretty good play. With the hammer and hook shot, you're able to cross this gap over here to get to the north of Dark World, but also it lets you go over towards Swamp and Thieves Town. It's very inconvenient, but it is possible to get over to this area.
Yeah, and you go the south route. Really, you end up having to bank on another save and quit if you don't immediately find both gloves. If you're going that south route, you just kind of get stopped, and there's nothing else you can do. But if you end up going this north route, then you have much more accessible to you. So, as I was talking it out to myself, I'm like, I'm asking a dumb question.
All right, so nothing of value on that bumper cave. Eri picks up the bow and also the fighter's shield. Looks like Osse's gonna go make the play on Skull Woods right now.
It's the other 5/6, and considering the first 5/6 was Tower of Hera, does that indicate to you something might be on that Pyramid Fairy?
I mean, it's definitely possible. There is still a lot of Dark World that we have not seen yet, but there's a pretty good chance that there might be something there.
So in the Palace or in Skull Woods here, Eriror's doing this south route here. He has not gone over to Eastern, not found anything on Stumpy. Big key, that's all the dungeon items. Literally every other treasure chest here, except for the guaranteed key, is going to have something in it.
Yep, so we've got 4 more items that we can get out of Skull Woods, which will be good. Not really any value at the digging game, just a piece of heart.
Osse opting to go ahead and do the long way at this point in time, which it's hard not to blame him at this point.
Yeah, you don't see the intended method by the developers very often in speedrun or a randomizer run. We usually just tend to bomb jump it just a lot faster.
Eri looks like he is about to make a pod play. Setting up that death warp in the meantime.
Yeah, and you can't really fault Eri for this one. I mean, you look at pod and you realize there are 11 items potentially in here. There's a good chance that you're going to find progression. I mean, we know that there's unfortunately no progression here, but this is the right play.
Chat just pointed out something to me that is the most terrifying thing I think I have ever seen. And I don't even know if it's logically possible, really. I suppose it could be, but is it possible that our first lift upgrade is actually on... No, it can't be on the Pyramid Fairy? Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
I was trying to think, okay, then where would the second lift upgrade be, where it's locked behind the first lift upgrade? And I'm having a hard time here.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many spots that we could still be finding this lift upgrade. I mean, it could still be in Skull. It could end up being Village of Outcasts. It could end up being Thieves Town. There's just a lot there right now. The other interesting thing is we can beat all 3 of our pendant dungeons right now.
Oh my god. So what I'm hearing you say is we could have a situation where one lift upgrade could be on the Pyramid Fairy and the other lift upgrade could be on the Pedestal?
It's very possible. And also very scary.
That is terrifying.
All right, we find Bombos here in Skull 3. I was just going to Death Warp again. That is the one upside that he has right now with that green mail versus the blue mail. Death Warps are much quicker, but overall, I think you'd want the blue mail.
You get the sense that maybe Osse hasn't done this particular way. Yeah. And so far, Skull Woods has not been anything either. It's just been rupees at this point in time. So we'll see if the value is going to be on Mothula. Hammer Moth, by the way, not fun.
Yeah, Hammer Moth can be a very tough fight. The only thing that we've seen here so far was Bombos in that kind of out of the way chest if you don't have the mirror in Skull 3.
I'll say this much. Osse trying to hit Mothula from the bottom up, that's gutsy.
Yeah, it's very tough. I mean, 7-heart green mail, you can only use the hammer and the fire rod. This is a very tough fight, but he manages to pull it off. Really well done. Great job by Osse there, picking up this key off of Moth.
5-6 crystal, both done. The only other dungeons we have access to at this present moment are pendant dungeons. So we still have the Village of Outcasts to clear out and Thieves Town. So there's still possibility that we will be saved from too much craziness here. But man, I like our chances for craziness right now, don't you?
Oh yeah, they are definitely pretty high right now. Yeah, I mean, really, if we don't find anything in Village of Outcasts, you have to think Osse has got to be thinking about just completely beating Thieves Town, unless he finds a glove upgrade there.
Well, you still have the keys for it. You only get one small key, and it's unlocking a big treasure chest. So you still have the possibility to do that. You know you've already cleared out Palace of Darkness, so you can do that. You've already even cleared out Eastern Palace. Man, there's so little left available to us right now, except for now we have Pyramid Fairy that we can do, and logically, Pedestal's in there.
Yeah, and it looks like Eri's going to make the play to go to Helma now. This could end up being a very big play for him. Now, remember, Pod is the green pendant, so we can turn that into Sahasrara and get another item as well.
I like the gutsy play, Eri. I really, really like the gutsy play. And, he's had one or two timely, unfortunate deaths, so he may be thinking he has to make a play at this point in time. And that's a solid play to make. And what? We got 100 rupees and then a 300 rupee reward from the chess shop. This is the friendliest retro ever.
So many rupees. And in a pretty short amount of time, too.
Just more rupees. We got it. I mean, Eri showed us what was in the dig game and everything. So, man, I got to think we're going into Thieves Town now. So someone asked in chat, what does Retro do? And we'll tell you exactly what Retro does. No arrows. You fire 10 rupees for a wooden arrow or 50 rupees for silver. Keys are universal. You can buy them for 100 rupees, which makes chest gathering that much more fun in dungeons, IMO. And we have also take any rooms, which are kind of not a huge thing right at the moment because we're not really looking for them. One of the chat asked, does one of the take any rooms have a green 20 in it in Swordless? No, we actually saw that earlier. It has 300, which is really amazing. We didn't think it'd have 300, but it did. Oh, that's insulting. Swagnet after Agahnim? And just a piece of heart. Meanwhile, Eri ends up finding, what do you have on Helmasaur? Another 5-er. But that is the green pendant that he can also turn in. So Osse is going to be traveling here to the back. So we found 2 items so far out of the 5 that are located. There's the big key. Three of 5 items, so there's only 2 items left that can possibly be here in Thieves Town. Eriror looks like he's on his way. He's going to go over here and turn in his green pendant. Then he might just go ahead and do Eastern and say, hey, you know, the Pedestal's the play.
Yeah, I mean, you figure you're in that area. It's not a bad play. It's definitely something for Eri to consider when he heads over to turn in that green pendant.
And so many 5ers in this seed. As a reminder, because it's a retro seed, we've taken out all of the arrows that are normally in the game and instead replaced them with 5 rupees. So when we see all of these 5 rupees around, that's why. All right, Eri is going up here. Another spot we have not checked, and I think Eri might be heading at least in that direction. Maybe Catfish, which is in logic. No, wait, no lift upgrade. Boo. Okay, a dungeon item that Osse ended up finding. So still 2 more items, 2 more dungeon items, and 3 more checks. 1 on Blind himself or herself. We don't judge. We just haven't had Blind identify. All right, Eri is coming over here to this side of the Dark World, though. So I got to imagine he's following. Oh, he's following Osse down here into the Village of Outcasts. So he's going to be doing these Village of Outcasts checks, then maybe a Thieves Town check. Ooh boy. Another 5-er. Oh boy, here we go. 2 more checks, 1 more item here in Thieves Town. There's a lift upgrade. Oh man. Still, French vanilla lift upgrade. Man, at the very last item, that means Blind does end up holding the map in this. Still, we still need to get that other lift upgrade at some point in time, and you're already down here. Might as well.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you're right there next to Blind. Might as well just wrap it up.
Chat making a good point. What the heckin' kind of seed do we get where our first lift upgrade is at 54 minutes? Question: did Eriror check more stuff before killing Aga than Osse? Yes, he did. He full cleared everything. Aga was the absolute last thing that he was hoping to do, and it was. I mean, he did Eastern Palace. He did Agahni's Cave. So he made a lot more checks. The only thing Osse did that Eriror did not is wasted a bunch of money on his way up to Zora. So he did all the Zora checks. Those were sequence breaks, though. And Eriror doing a heads-up play. He's not going to get the key right away because he has some extra keys. He can avoid running up and down that particular hallway. Save a little bit of time, about 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, so now Osse doing some checks that we saw earlier from Eri. As our two runners go back and forth to places that we've already seen, make sure to give these guys a follow. They are both very, very good runners, and we are very glad that they are allowing us to restream them today. So make sure to get in there with that.
This is actually super good routing here for Osse. He's doing the south route where he checked the dig game and Stumpy, and he's going to route right over. He's already done the Hype Cave, but guess what's right next to Hype Cave? Oh, the bomb shop. And he has the 5-6 dungeons done, so he can go ahead and just go right up to Pyramid Fairy here. This is excellent routing from Osse.
So yeah, we should be seeing what treasures the Pyramid Fairy has. Also, might get a look to see what potion that she's going to drop this time around.
Well, I think Osse only has one bottle, and he currently has... Oh, wait, he used his red goo. So yeah, I think he'll probably check a refill.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really convenient thing, checking those fairies, or the Pyramid Fairy, also the Waterfall Fairy, just because you don't have to spend any rupees, and in retro mode, you want as many rupees as you can get.
And just a couple pieces of heart. The Pyramid Fairy has failed us.
Womp, 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 womp.
So the other thing, Osse looks like he's going up here and might be checking the catfish, actually. Again, this is kind of an out-of-the-way play, but it is one of the few things that's unlocked with just the lift upgrade. So following the breadcrumbs at this point, saying, you know, that was the major bottleneck. I'm going to go only to places that really unlocked it. You're forgetting, oh yeah, I can pick up the key here. Yeah, thanks, Harry.
All right, so what's everyone's other favorite fish gonna have today?
Here's $50, you bum. Go away.
Man, just money everywhere this seed, though. And a solid fight from Eri, taking down Blind with the hammer. Bit of a tougher fight than your standard sword, even tougher than the Kena Samaria fight, so well done finishing that off.
Oh, here's an interesting play. Osse is actually going to go up. Looks like he's going to check Spike Cave, actually. It is in logic because we have the hammer and the cane of Burna. So that might be interesting here.
Yep, and in hard mode, the only time that you get invincibility from anything with either Blue Cane or the Cape is if you're walking over spikes, because then that is within the logic, and the game's not that mean.
I mean, it is. I mean, we've all seen horrible seeds. Eri, why you skipped a treasure chest, Eri? Oh, he was. I know what he's done. Okay, just another shield.
Well, that would have been nice for a blind fight there.
At this point, it's Pedestal, isn't it?
I think so. As long as we saw all the items out of Eastern Palace, I think Ped has to be the play here.
Yeah, and it's been so long since Eri went there. I don't know if there's actually going to be a regular item on the Armos Knights or not. But yeah, I'm going through our overworld checks and I'm thinking we've checked everything. So guys, this is the legendary Aga required, Pedestal required, Troll Seed, retro mode, throwing all the rupees at you. I don't know what to call this seed other than fun for us and probably torture for both Osse and Eri.
Yeah, and I know Eri's a big fan of all dungeons, so, I mean, I guess he technically gets his wish for this seed.
So Osse is going to be the first one, looks like, to clear out Eastern Palace, because Eri cleared it out, but did not actually beat the boss because he didn't have the bow when he first dove in. Remember, Eri came in here looking to try to completely avoid Aga, was not able to do so. So meanwhile, Eri is cleaning up Skull Woods, which is, again, a logical play. We're bottlenecked at kind of a variety of points here. And I never thought I'd see both an Aga Ped seed. I'm really just kind of so happy. I'm crying a little bit.
You know, with the settings they chose, you'd think the seed would be just a little bit nicer, but no, it's like, you picked hard mode, you picked swordless, you picked retro. Deal with it.
Question in chat, do you get wooden arrows with a bow, or do you have to buy them? Yeah, it's an 80 rupee item that you have to buy from a shop. Under normal there is a glitch in the game where you don't have to buy them, but as soon as you find silvers, you can't switch off the silvers to the actual wooden arrows until you buy them. So it's good form to just go ahead and buy them.
Alright, and Eri makes quick work of Mothula. So he ends up going next. I think really all he's got is the Spike Cave play and then headed back to Eastern Palace. So these two runners are pretty much neck and neck right now.
Yeah, it's very close between these two. So you and I have determined, based on our knowledge of the game, that it is a pedestal required seed. The question becomes, what is on the pedestal? What do you want to see there?
I mean, personally, I would love to see a fetch quest chain spawn out of the ped, but I think the game's going to be a little bit nicer and give us either something like the boots or maybe the mitts.
The mitts would be interesting. The mitts opens up Misery Mire, which at this point, and it also opens up Dark Death Mountain. So we have a couple things that do open up with the mitts. The boots would get us the Cane of Samaria, and then Bonk Rocks. And that's kind of it. Like the mirror would open up Swamp Palace then, which means something's in Swamp. Um, the thing, it feels like to me, I think Mitts would open up the most in the world, but anything else that they unlocked really only opens up, 2 to 4 spots at the most, or a dungeon, which could possibly have only one thing in it itself.
Yeah, we're very limited unless we find those mitts. I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else. Flippers wouldn't do anything right now with the logic that we've seen.
Well, I mean, flippers would theoretically unlock the waterfall fairy and hobo, but we already know what those are, and because of sequence breaking.
I was going for a kind of untraditional fight here, spamming that fire rod, and finishing him off with the arrows here.
Just the compass. So yeah, it's a PED required seed, guys.
Wow, that's just amazing. Aries still got a few other overworld checks to do before finding a way into Eastern Palace, but God, what a seed that we have on our hands today.
I would like to give a shout out to. I just want to hang on. I want to double check who rolled this seed, because this is. I don't know if I can even see that right now. This is just one of those slow clap moments for whomever rolled this seed. This is your masterpiece, sir, ma'am, whatever honorifics you prefer. Mwah. Chat saying who picked the flags at any rate. I think Osse was actually the higher seed over Aries, so this is Aries' pick because it's their second game, right?
No, actually, Aerie was the higher seed. So this is Osse's pick.
Okay.
The first seed I think they did was a standard all dungeons key sanity. I know Aerie really enjoyed that. I think he picked that for the first match against everybody in Group O.
Aerie looking like he's coming over here to do this spike cave check. He's like, nah, it can't be a ped seed. It can't be a ped seed.
Yeah, I think Osse is finally giving in and heading to finish up pod. Wouldn't be surprised to see a green pendant check before we make our way over to the pedestal, but both of these guys pretty much going to be pulling ped around the same time.
All right, so we'll see. Aerie, where do you end up going? Are you finally making your way to Eastern? No, Aerie's sequence breaking now. He has avoided sequence breaking. Man, the sooner he gets to Eastern, the better. Osse is working his way back and might be our first one to pull.
Yeah, it'll be close. Takes a little bit longer to get to Helmasaur than it does to Armos Knights, but going out of the way here for Aerie is going to cost him a little bit of time. There's also still the possibility that Osse ends up turning in that green pendant with Sahasrara.
I think the play that Aerie's making right now is saying, okay, in the event that the one item we would get from the PED, I think he knows this is a PED required seed at this point. He's making a gamble right now that the PED required item would be the flippers. So he's doing the flippers check, hoping to sequence break that. Not exactly something you want to have to do, especially knowing that Swamp Palace is required because it's a crystal anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, when you know that you have to do Swamp Palace, it makes it pretty hard for you to want to actually go out of your way and sequence break with fake flipping. There are still many runners who will go and do that, and that'll be their normal progression at the beginning of a seed. But in this case, you kind of want to put it off since you know you need those flippers anyways.
All right, so chat, I know there's been a lot of discussion, and I asked it earlier, but officially get your guesses into the chat itself for your bragging rights to be able to tell everyone else you were right and they were wrong. What will be on the pedestal? Is it going to be a fetch quest, the boots, the mirror, the book could be an item as well, the mitts? Get it in.
Yeah, the only fetch quest that we 100% know won't be on Ped is the mushroom, because that's currently on Hylia Island.
So we just saw Eri actually do something really interesting. He went up and checked Zora as the last thing, and because it wasn't anything, he reset out, saved himself 500 rupees.
You don't see the hard reset too often, but when you do see it, it kind of comes as a surprise because you're just like, wait, what happened? Like, did the game crash? But it's just the runner electing to save some money, which is really important in a retro seed.
Absolutely. Osse is probably in a worse position because of it. He's only sitting at 82 rupees, although Eri's getting ready to have to do a very ammo-heavy fight. Usually about 180 rupees if you don't miss a single shot. He has the money for it, but still in a much better position than Osse is in terms of his money. Osse is going to be turning in the green pendant, and then he's heading up and doing the ped.
Yeah, so it looks like Osse will be the first of our runners, most likely, to go to Ped. I still don't think he's checked Race Game or the library yet, so we might get a check on that before he heads and checks the Ped.
No, he's going straight up. This is actually, I mean, I don't think this is terribly worrisome. I think, that's one of those checks that maybe Osse is like, I'm not even going to waste the time to check it until I know I have the boots and just waiting for that. And since he hasn't found the boots yet, he knows that that's a worthless check. Although the boots can absolutely be on the race game, and he hasn't checked that at all. So I hope Osse just hasn't forgotten about that entirely.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it is only the blue mail, but if you can get that early, you kind of want it.
All right, here we go. Drum roll, and it is the Titans Mitts.
Wow, what a seed today. That is incredible find there.
One of the two lift upgrades. The other one was buried in the back of Blind's hut, and Osse is trying to get some rupees from the hoarder crab here. Okay, where do you go from here? Yeah, there's a lot open to you, but where do you go?
I think Mire area is certainly intriguing. Going into Mire is a little scary. The fact that Osse does not know about where the cane is, too, is really a little worrisome. But, there's also Dark Death Mountain that you can get 6 items out of. You get the information about what you need for Turtle Rock. We still may require Ether in this seed.
So Eri on his way over right behind Osse. And Osse checking. There's the cape. Not necessarily anything. Can't do any other checks. He could have opened Misery Mire with Bombos and the hammer, but opts to go elsewhere. So Interesting.
Yeah, that might actually help him out. Just because he still doesn't know where Kane is. So that'll be interesting to see when he decides to dip into Misery Mire.
Okay, he's going into the Dark World, and I think he remembered we did get a comment early on. It was a hint tile that said that a unique item requires a specialist to unlock. That is the purple chest. So I think he's coming over here. He might be prioritizing the Jeremiah chain here directly in order to get whatever that unique item is.
Yeah, and that's a really big benefit with the hint system being implemented in version 30. We get these little tiny bits of information, but sometimes they can be the difference between a win and a loss in a race.
Yeah, there's no single arrow, and we also already found the swag net. Just a piece of heart here, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and pick that up. And there is no secret arrow or single arrow in retro mode. There's no arrows whatsoever. Oh, and Eri, with the knowledge, knowing full well where that cane is going to be dipping down into Misery Mire. That's super interesting for Eri.
Yeah, that is a very interesting play. Little bit perplexing as well, but I mean, if the boots are in Mire, then this is a very big play for Eri here.
That would be game-changing, to say the least. If the boots are anywhere here in Mire, knowing that the boots lock it and it's a required double dip. That being said, that hint is still bugging me, so I'm glad Osse is doing the hint.
Yeah, I mean, with retro mode, definitely a numbers game because you've got 5 items now in Misery Mire rather than the original 2 in the regular game.
Yeah, and Osse is absolutely following this chain. He wants to know what's in that purple chest. This could be significant for Osse as well in remembering that. Eri, meanwhile, following his breadcrumbs here through Misery Mire. You mentioned it just a second ago, but 5 items in Misery Mire over the 2 that you normally get because it's a retro mode seed and all those keys are replaced. That makes it a little bit more palatable. Like if you're only coming in here and have a 2 checks chance to find some sort of progression, that makes it less palatable. But 5, okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing with retro seeds as well as key sanity seeds. You will see runners dip into other dungeons that you normally wouldn't see them dip into, like a pendant pod in this case, because of the fact that instead of 5 items, there are 11 in that dungeon, whereas in Misery Mire, you've got 2 items in regular modes. In this mode, you get 5, so that's pretty big.
Eri did end up taking a death in that tile room. He was down to only 1 heart, so it was kind of an inevitability there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and with very little magic.
Boots.
Wow.
That single item ended up being the boots. Now here's the question. And this is one for Osse. I mean, this opens up Bunk Rocks, and that's it at this point. And King's Tomb, I suppose.
Yeah, you gotta think he's gonna go hit King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, and then probably go down into CAC. He's got to be thinking about Library as well, just because it's another location that's now been opened up.
If he finds more progression in one of these other 2 checks, though, it could drive him off course. There's Ether Medallion.
Yeah, and that might come into play with Turtle Rock. Still haven't been up on Dark Death Mountain yet, so we don't have that information just yet.
Just a fiver. Yeah, I think at this point he's like, okay, if this is my progression, he's fluting. He's fake flippering? Really? He's doing the Ice Palace Gambit right now?
I'm very curious to see how he's going to approach this. Without knowing where the cane is, and the Ice Rod and the Flippers, well, the Flippers won't be here. Mire could be here, Ice Rod could be here, but man, this is quite a gamble.
It is a huge gamble. Eri, is just clearing out Misery Mire right now. Oh, and finds a fetch quest in the shovel. I think the biggest danger right now to Osse is that he just assumes nothing is on that library shelf. We know that's a major item in the Cane of Samaria. He was right there. I don't know why he didn't check it. If he forgot that he didn't make that check or just assumes that nothing's there, this could be big. He's making a sequence break right now, being in Ice Palace without the flippers.
Yeah, and I mean, the more items you find, progression-wise, the less likely you are to go back to one of those locations that you may have forgotten earlier, and just continue clearing out dungeons as you can.
Some cash is held by someone friendly. Meanwhile, Eri is actually looking like he's going to climb up Death Mountain and do Dark Death Mountain. Going to be 6 checks for that. He'll be able to fully clear out both Hookshot Cave as well as do the Super Bunny Cave check as well. Oh, setting up the bomb jump. I think he's got it.
Yeah, and we'll also potentially be able to open up Turtle Rock and get a look at the hint that's waiting in there.
I mean, to Osse's credit, remember, Ice Palace is another one of those dungeons that has a ton of keys in it. So just because you end up coming in here, it has more items than in the regular randomizer. So I can see him coming in here for that chest density. It's just out of logic. I have a hard time thinking, like, why would you sacrifice a potential go mode Ice Palace?
Yeah, it's a little bit puzzling. We did find out that Turtle Rock requires ether, so Eri not able to open that up right now and misses out on a chance to check that hint.
Couple keys, though, that he found in that Hookshot Cave. Man, nothing on Dark Death Mountain. So Ari's got to do. I think he's out of everything except for doing the Jeremiah loop right now.
And we just saw the mirror in Ice Palace. That is a very good find.
Okay.
I was about to say, we're about an hour 25 in, and still missing 3 items. Now we're only missing 2. Still got to find the Ice Rod and the Flippers. Flippers will not be here, but the Ice Rod, we don't know yet.
Ari's going to turn in this shovel. He's like, hey, we got a fetch quest. Big 20. So you would not be able to go mode Ice Palace anyway. So that ends up being really good for Osse, knowing that he's not wasting any time by being here.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of if Osse finds those flippers, then might spend some time digging in Swamp Palace, which could be a good thing. Could end up finding the ice rod there, but it could also be extra checks in Swamp Palace that aren't really necessary.
You just got to be careful here. Hammer Cold Stare is not an easy fight either.
Yeah, especially with that green mail. Really got to be careful with these puffballs.
But he does clear it out, finds another 50 roots, and gets ourselves only our third crystal. We're at an hour 26 and we're only on our third crystal. What?
Yeah, and still 2 items from go mode. Well, no mode, I suppose. This has just been a very cruel seed so far.
Absolutely. It's really put these runners on edge. It's a swordless seed anyway, and then to require both Aga and Pedestal. Whew.
It looks like Osse is going to make a couple more checks here. Curious to see if he... Oh, he can beat Desert right now, so he'll probably be doing that.
Doing Desert, doing Checkerboard Cave back-to-back right now. This is a solid play at this point in time for Osse.
Yeah, and while it's not currently in logic, it could end up helping Osse out. We know that you need to have the flippers in order to access this area, because we haven't seen the book yet.
Now, if the flippers are here, that's going to give Osse some great knowledge that the intended route in here would be the book. So that'll be kind of an interesting idea of, once Osse gets to that point. Eri going down and going to be doing the chest to get his boots here directly. 10th enemy has a bomb. Great hint there, Tile.
Yeah, and for Eri, he'll be able to clear out Misery Mire, but it's going to be a little while before he heads towards Desert Palace, because not having those flippers for going into Ice Palace, I mean, you need them for Swamp, so you probably are going to put off Ice until you find those flippers.
Does that mean that we are likely looking at... Well, okay, Ether Medallion was where?
Ether Medallion was in King's Tomb.
Okay, so it's possible that... I mean, Eri will have a couple options. He could either A, go back down and clear out Misery Mire, or once he does these checks, he can come up here and he'll get King of Samaria. If he does King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks immediately, he'll be able to do Turtle Rock as well.
Yeah, and there's a good amount of value in Turtle Rock. Replacing 4 small keys in Turtle Rock brings up the item total for that dungeon to 9 rather than the original 5. We also got a hint tile that said that a bottle was in Mimic Cave, so our runners, for Eri, he's not going to have to worry about needing the mirror for Turtle Rock, which is really nice.
So he gets that Ether Medallion. Eri does also know that the Ether Medallion is required for Turtle Rock, so that may prompt him to go up there. Osse does not know that. Haven't really found anything here in Desert yet, unless we're going to get something here from Land Molus.
Yeah, really the only thing I could see Eri doing is finishing up Mire first and then going up to Turtle Rock.
You know what I just realized was the most insulting thing about this entire scene?
What's that?
The most insulting thing of this entire scene is the early Aga requirement. And what happens when you have Aga? All of the hoarder crabs disappear. So those big 20s that you were planning on farming for most of the race are no longer in those spots.
Wow. And that's a big deal with retro mode because, you know, you've got these arrows that you got to fire off. And, well, at this point, I think we're really down to Ganon's Tower that requires arrows, but you still need some money for that.
Osse is making the Misery Mire dive. He doesn't know. Eri is going to be following him, but has already cleared out Misery Mire and knows.
I mean, at this point, you can't really blame Osse here for making this play. You know, it's the only dungeon that's accessible to him right now. I mean, he could go up to Dark Death Mountain, but not having that cane, he can't do anything in Turtle Rock, and we know that the rest of Dark Death Mountain is a bust.
And really, Osse's run a really great race up until this point in time. I would, if not for that cane on the library ledge, I would say that Osse probably was ahead, quote unquote, from Eri, but that cane is huge. And I think at this point, he just forgot to make the check.
Yeah, it looks that way. I really can't think of any other reason that he wouldn't have gone down there yet.
Question from the fellow Group O runner, 1UP. Is the seed going to keep trolling and require a TR double dip? You can only hope, 1UP. You're just wanting to shatter these runners' confidences, aren't you? Oh, and Eriror doing spooky action for us.
Yeah, very well done. I mean, like I said earlier in the race, both of these guys very, very proficient NMG runners. So, the execution thus far has been very, very solid.
Oh, and Eriror is spending a small fortune. I mean, the seat has given it to you, so you might as well spend your fortune on wooden arrows on Vitreous.
Yeah, this is probably the toughest hammer fight in the game, so I can't really blame him for electing to just shoot the eyeballs out with some wooden arrows.
And it's just the map, so Eri does get another crystal. The only thing left for him to do is to go up to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and barring the sequence break to Ice Palace, I think that's exactly what Eriror is going to be doing.
Oh, and is Eri Aries not. Aries setting himself up for a sequence break as well.
Wow, this is just incredible. Both runners kind of following each other's footsteps at this point. I mean, Eriror going into Ice Palace now. Oss trying to figure out where this dang cane is so that he can go to Mire and into Turtle Rock. Be interesting to see who ends up making that play first.
Who remembers first? So Osse doing other mirror locations here. We know he's not going to find the flippers, but he could theoretically find anything else.
Yeah, and the other thing this sets up for him, if he remembers, is the fact that he will be down near Race Game as well as the library. He might end up checking that.
If he did, it'd be huge for him. He's coming over here. He is going to turn in the shovel, though, which I believe Ari found, and it was Bupkis. Osse, where are you going? Is he possibly making the play? He doesn't have the mirror out. He is toying with our hearts, everyone. This is heartbreak.
Osse, please, just check it.
Okay, so he's gonna go. He hasn't checked. Oh, he's doing the mirror locations. He's trying to set it up so that this sequence break actually paid off for him. He's smart. He's doing what he thinks is the right thing.
And you never know, it might turn out to be the right thing, just a little bit out of sequence.
All right, hold your breath. This is a big moment for Osse right now. Chest bombs! Oh no!
Yeah, so you gotta imagine he's gonna hit Dark Death Mountain first, but then he's gonna be stumped. Unless that hint in Turtle Rock is specifically going to reference the Cane of Samarian Library, he's going to have to rethink what he didn't do earlier in the seed, which is really tough to do when you're about an hour and 40 minutes into a run.
Yeah, think about it. It was a standard seed, so what? They were in the village, Kakariko Village, at what, the 8-minute mark? So think about it, an hour and a half ago, what were you doing? Honestly, I don't even know what I was doing an hour and a half ago other than sitting right here talking to you fine folks.
Yeah, I think I was doing something that involved speaking, but I guess that's what I'm doing now, too. Alright, so Ari now has his mirror. I don't know if he's gonna go make some quick checks in Overworld, or if he's just gonna go straight to Turtle Rock. That could determine a few things as well.
I think he opens Turtle Rock and then he checks those things. He may check the item or the hint tile.
Looks like he's going to check Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave first. Not sure if he's going to wind up checking that hint tile, though.
I don't know either. That seems to be what you would want to do first. He might be hoping that the Cane of Samari is in these chests beforehand.
Yeah, that's very true. Cutting down on a screen transition saves about, saves a handful of seconds. So, I mean, it's really just about efficiency at that point.
All right, so O's going back up. It looks like he's on his way to go check that hint tile. He's already done everything else.
Yeah, meanwhile, Eri is going to get started up on the Cold Stare fight, so he'll be picking up his fourth crystal. Wow.
Oh, wow. Actually, Ose skipped Spiral Cave. I remember because he dropped down instead to do something else. He dropped down to do the other check. So he might be thinking, oh no, I missed something.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that. Wow.
He's thinking this is unfortunately the part runners at every level, even one as solid as Ose is, get into the position every now and then where they're like, what did I miss? Oh God, what did I miss? We've all been here, every single one of us.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of top runners of this randomizer who do use that map tracker as well, so that they can jot down what locations they've checked. But a lot of runners do not use that at all, and they rely on their memory. And sometimes that can be dangerous. It leads to a lot of tough scenarios, but it looks like he's making the right call here.
Oh, are you doing it? Is he doing it? He's doing it!
He is going to be so happy when he finds that, and he knows exactly where to go.
Is he happy or mad at himself, do you think?
I mean, he might be a little mad, but if anything, he probably feels behind at this point.
And he's like, oh, my armor upgrade was there too?
Yeah. Checking the spot at this time, like an hour and 43 minutes, it's pretty rare that you'll see a runner do that. I think he just forgot to do it earlier in the seed.
It's so interesting, the muscle memory, because that's a wall that you can actually dash through. And the fact that O's still muscle memory pulling the bomb out and doing that when he could have dashed it, it's just interesting to me for some reason.
Yeah, and we just saw the other downside to doing race game after Aga 1. There's some guards chilling in that race game that make it a little harder to finish it up in 15 seconds.
And this is the point where I think Ose is like the mind game of Randomizer starts coming into it, because you got to know he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. He's probably a little bit tilted, and it takes a certain degree of mental fortitude once you get in this sort of position where you know you messed something up, but we know he's not out of this. He's right neck and neck. Eri is doing Desert Palace right now, which Ose has already done. And then Ose is doing Misery Mire, which Eri has already done. And then they're both going to be neck and neck up in Turtle Rock. They're close. So Ose has got to kind of shake himself loose from that mistake and just play his game. And he still has a shot.
Yeah, right now, pending a few mirror checks, Eri's probably just a little bit ahead, but it's still super duper close. With the items that we have left for go mode, which being the flippers and ice rod, it really limits what places items can be, because we've checked nearly the rest of the overworld so far.
I think at this point, you are hoping to find the ice rod before the flippers. Because if it's in flippers, if you find the flippers, then you know you might have to full clear Swamp Palace. And that's something, ain't nobody got time for that. Although, you know, ice rod on left side of swamp would just go perfectly with required Aga ped seeds.
Yeah, I was going to say, the way this seed's been, I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if that happened. So while our runners are taking the time to kind of go over things that we've already seen, do make sure to give these guys a follow. They've played through a very tough seed, and they're making it look almost effortless, honestly. They're both very good runners, so make sure to give those guys a follow.
Absolutely. These are the two runners that are leading in Group O. And I believe, as we spoke about it earlier, at this point, these guys are probably both locks for the bracket stages. They're just playing for seeding right now, and the fact that they're racing against each other, they have this race. There's another race at some point that they have to schedule that will be randomized. I wonder if it's already on the schedule. It's just absolutely amazing watching these two go at it. Absolutely give them a follow.
Yeah, I believe they've scheduled that third race. It should be Sunday. Let me take a look and see what the settings of that are going to be.
It looks like, yeah, it is Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It is an all dungeons open mode, Uncle Assured hard mode.
And that sounds like a cakewalk, but I mean, as we've seen with this seed, anything can happen.
And Osse, saving all his money. I think he's a little paranoid, so he's going to be in a much better money spot of all things than Eri.
Yeah, and really at this point, because Eri's doing these mirror checks, they're right next to each other right now. This is very close.
All right, so Eri doing his saving quit. I think he's done with the mirror spots. And is he making? I think he's making the play up to Death Mountain, up to Turtle Rock. Osse, will he be right behind him?
Yeah, I imagine so. I think Osse has exhausted all of his options as well.
Absolutely. So they are both climbing Death Mountain at the same time to go to Turtle Rock. We are not in go mode yet. We have flippers and we have ice rods still to go. Now, we have a lot of different scenarios that can play out here, and it could very well determine the race. If you get the flippers, for example, what do you do? Like if you find early flippers in the first 2 or 3 treasure chests, do you say, yes, I'm going to go ahead and continue to clear? Or do you say, no, it's the ice rods in Swamp Palace. The flippers were all I needed logically. I'm done.
Yeah, I think one of the big things to think about with this Turtle Rock play, if we find the flippers, you have to make another climb up here anyways. We might just see them save and quit and gamble on ice rod being in swamp. Or if they continue to go on and don't find that ice rod, then I don't know. It's really tough to decide when to quit here in Turtle Rock, if you decide to do that at all.
Oh, that was a huge hint. That just told us left side swamp, and it was just a bottle and something else. It wasn't the ice rod, though.
Yeah, bottle and a map, so we are definitely not going to be looking at left side swamp. That'll save us some time if the ice rod, in fact, is there.
there's another thing we have to take into consideration. That mushroom, which is on Lake Hylia Island.
Wow, I mean, just really any fetch quest right now. We still have powder missing. We still have the book missing. There's still so many opportunities for a little more trolling in this seed.
There's another sword possibility and the red meringue. No big key yet. Both of them have 8 keys, so I think they're both set up for the rest of the race for keys at this point.
Yeah, you think about it, you need 4 to full clear Turtle Rock, 1 to get into Swamp, and then it just depends how deep you need to go into GT, but I think you only need either 2 or 3 to full clear it, so our runners should be good with 8 keys apiece.
And 1 up, I imagine this seed burning ceremony is going to be immediately after these runners are done with this seed.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to hear both us and Aries' thoughts on this seed because of just how much unnecessary, like, I mean, it was all necessary, but just how much the game has put them through today.
This is one of those seeds that you question whether or not you love Rando as much as you think you do.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true.
Because let's face it, that love is one-sided. All right, so there's our required big key in the middle treasure chest. So we did get that hint that just a bottle is located in the Mimic Cave. So I don't think either runner is going to check that. And really, that would be the difference between a lead right now. Oh God, they're neck and neck.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous. Vanilla big key, and still a handful of items. Have we only seen big key, or have we seen a map in this dungeon yet? I don't think so.
Yeah, just a big key from the looks of it. Eri is going to go out. We'll see if he checks. I don't think he's going to check the Mimic Cave because he got that hint, but he is going to take the safety door and get the big treasure chest.
Yeah, and you might as well when you're still 2 items from go mode at, nearly an hour and 54 minutes. That's unheard of.
And we have a fetch quest.
Oh, God.
Nah, you keep going if it's a fetch quest.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's not nearly enough to know to do anything else. I'm curious when Aries going to check out that mushroom, too, because I'm sure he checked.
There are the flippers for Eri.
So now it's Laser Bridge. I mean, I don't think we've seen map or compass. So 2 items on Laser Bridge right now. If one of them's the Ice Rod, you're in go mode. If it's not, you gotta do the unfortunate save and quit and go to Swamp Palace.
Oh, and he turned early! And is gonna take a death!
Oof. That is not a great spot to do it. Now, it looks like Us is taking the lead now. I mean, ever so slightly, but they're both doing the same thing and going to Laser Bridge right now.
I don't know. I think I would have cut my losses at that point. It's like, okay, I couldn't do Laser Bridge. I'm going to have to gamble that the flips were my play. It is still anybody's race, though. I mean, this is going to be a back and forth match right now.
Yeah, even with that death, I think the big things that this is going to come down to is execution and where that dang GT big key is.
Yeah, map and compass. Okay, so just one more check. Small key. Okay, so flippers are the answer.
Yep, so we've got a couple of fetch quests on our hands too. Both mushroom is accessible, and we have the powder. So it's a question of, do you just go straight to swamp, or do you try to turn in one of those fetch quests?
Honestly, I think you go straight to swamp, because the only thing you're doing is skipping left side swamp, and go mode swamp versus just skipping left side is not that different. Plus, yeah, I think you just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's a crystal, you have to beat it anyways. And honestly, the few extra checks that you have to do for swamp aren't even that bad. They're not super time losses, and both of our runners are going to be doing it today, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Looks like Eri is actually doing that check, though. He wants to do at least this check. This might be significant. This is definitely a low percent play. There's still a lot of items in Swamp Palace that it could be, but man, if this is it, this is interesting. Oh my god, Ice Run! Fetch quest leading to the Ice Rod. I'm sorry, I blew everyone's ears out. I'm sorry. No! Oh god, Eri, what are you doing? Okay, he's pulling out the flute. He's going to be go-moding Swamp Palace while Osse is still going to be checking treasure chests. That is huge for Eri making that play. He's going to be able to go mode and go right back up to Turtle Rock. And that's an example, I think, ladies and gentlemen, of when you feel like you're behind. And keep in mind, this seed has been absolutely cruel to these runners. But Eri's had a couple unfortunate deaths, so it's made a cruel seed even a little bit more torturous for him. He's absolutely got to be feeling behind. A great way to catch up is by making and finding a low percent play like Eriror just made. It wasn't the right quote-unquote play to make if all you're worried about is your time, but in a race, it's not just about the plays you make, it's about making the plays that your opponent doesn't make. And that low percent play is paying off for Eriror. He's go-moding. He doesn't have to open a single thing if he doesn't want to.
Yeah, this is going to make a very big difference between the two runners. Because now he's got to check. He's going to check all these other chests. Eri can just run through and not bother with it.
All right, so Osse. Here's the interesting thing. I'm curious if Osse will be turning in the powder first, or if he's going to say, I remember that mushroom on Lake Hylia Island that he's avoided up until now. It's like, oh, did I do it again?
Yeah, I think because of where he is right now, he's at Swamp Palace, he's in Dark World, he can just go straight there. It only takes a little bit of time, but that little bit of time is going to wind up being a lot because of, Eri already being in go mode.
Argus is going to be an interesting fight. This is commonly referred to, especially in Swordless Seeds, it's almost a menu boss. You have to hookshot each of these Argai, and there's 10 of them total. And you try to do it as efficiently as possible. If you can do 2 at once, that's the most efficient way to do it. But man, it's super easy to miss.
Yeah, when you run into this fight, this is a fight that really amps up your menu time at the end of the seed, which, I mean, for Swordless, they both have to do it. But if you end up having to do it in a regular seed while your opponent does not, then it makes a pretty big difference.
Keep in mind, they've both not seen the dot done yet, so they are both probably a little nervous. I mean, they've known what the seed has thrown at them. They're probably both very angry with the seed, and they both want to probably delete the seed as quickly as they possibly can after this run is done. So, I mean, we're at 2 hours in right now, and you're still 2 crystal dungeons away from completion. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible seed. So the nerves are probably a little bit frayed, and you're really, really, I would say maybe a little bit upset with yourself and a little bit worn down.
Yeah, not seeing that dot done past the 2 hour mark, you're just like, well, I know the seed was pretty bad, but was it really this bad? Like, I would have figured, you know, I'd seen a dot done by now, but not in the case of our runners today.
Yes, and Osse looks like he is going over to get that mushroom.
Yeah, and you can't really fault him. You know, you're in the area as it is. You know it has to be either mushroom or powder at this point. You might as well just hedge your bets and get the mushroom as well.
So he's going in, turning the mushroom. Big fiver. You know, the worst thing that could have been right there would have been the book, because we still don't know where that is.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, if you get the book there, you might think to just go straight to Ether Medallion. Because if the Ice Rod's on Ether Medallion, then you're right there and you can just run over to Turtle Rock. So, good thing you didn't find the book there.
Meanwhile, Ares on his way back up and will be the first to try next unless something disastrous happens.
Yep, and Ares got 4 keys, so plenty of keys. He'll have 3 going into GT, so plenty of keys to get through the basement in case our big key winds up being a little less friendly. But, I mean, with the seed we've had, it wouldn't surprise me.
What are you thinking? Tile room gambit? Someone's going to do tile room first, right?
They might. Honestly, I would probably do that.
I've heard commentators and other like top tier runners say, "Nah, tile room is the worst play that you could ever make, statistically speaking." Well, in most races, that's why we don't let the numbers do it, and you have to do the race because sometimes you got to take a gamble.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're feeling behind, you might, you know, just go right side first and be like, all right, I'm going to start with tile room because, you know, I don't know if it's this, then there's a chance that I can still catch up. So both of these runners might be feeling a little behind, even with all the punches the seed has thrown.
Dead Rock's playing around with Osse as well. Oh man, so Eri has about a 1.5-minute edge going into Turtle Rock. This is still a nothing edge. as far as these guys are concerned, and they have all of Turtle Rock open to them. This is going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, this is either a tile room gamble or a right side GT gamble away. And little bits of execution as well. I mean, these two very great execution. We'll see how well they do dealing with a swordless GT.
Yes, and I want to remind everyone here, we will be, at the completion of Turtle Rock, be playing our wonderful Big Key guessing game. We'll explain the rules when we get there, but if you want to be added to our leaderboard, you have to either be a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming network of channels or have donated at least 250 bits. So if you want to participate, make sure to get those subscriptions or bits in while you still can. Yeah, we haven't started it yet, guys. Hold the phone.
And now coming up, we're going to get to see another challenging fight, I think is the right word for it. Hammer Trinex is not easy. It takes a bit of practice to make sure that you're hitting it the right way. And if you're going to try to go from the bottom, it's pretty tough. So it'll be interesting to see how our runners deal with that.
You're doing a very clean fireside. That's about how you have to do it in order to get that fireside fight.
Yeah, having to deal with the menu on this fight is a little bit aggravating because it kind of slows down your rhythm.
Okay, he's done it. I mean, that was a relatively clean Hammer Trinex up to this point in time. And while Osse is right behind him, very clean fight. Meanwhile, Osse is taking him from the front. It might be a little bit slower, but it's a little bit safer as well. And Eriror gets his 7th and final crystal. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen of the Link to the Past Randomizer chat, do you know what time it is?
I think I might have an idea, but just in case our chat out here doesn't know, why don't you explain it to him?
Oh my gosh, and they're off to the races. There are 22 treasure chests in the Ganon's Tower that can possibly contain the big key. 1 through 22, go ahead and get your guesses in chat. If you are a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming Network or have donated 250 bits, you'll be entered into our leaderboard if you're the first to guess correctly. 1 through 22, Hahasel. What are we going to pick today for you, sir?
I'm a simple guy. I always choose 13. So one thing that I just noticed, Osse took a death and did not set himself up at that last door right before Trinex, so he's got to go all the way back through now.
Oh, that's a dagger. That is a dagger to the heart right there.
So where do you think our GT Big Key is going to be today, Vitasia?
You know, I always I have a rule when doing these tournaments. I will choose one number until I get it right, and then I'll switch to another number. The problem is I've not gotten right once in this entire tournament. So I'm doing number 9 and hoping to finally get lucky.
Yeah, today may be your lucky day. You never know. I mean, if you pick a number enough times, pretty high chance it's going to be there.
And 3, 4, 5, oh, 6. So neither of our runners had really rupee issues while doing Ganon's Tower, but if they did, bailed out with a 3 hundo.
Yeah, that's really nice. Helps out with those mimic rooms, and also once they get to Ganon, they'll have a few extra shots with their bow.
So 7 is just bombs on Bob's torch. So Bob lives.
Lives to see another day. 9 also still alive. We got that Stalfos room coming up.
Eight. Okay, so it is number 8 for Eriror.
Well, it's about time the sea did something nice for us today.
And congratulations to Shin Yakuza. No one guessed 8, but they were the first one to guess 9, so it's the closest. GG Shin Yakuza.
Alright, so us going for that second try against Trinex. Well, that's pretty fitting. Hoping this is going to go a little better this time.
I certainly hope so. Shiny Yakuza. What number will I take next time? I'm gonna keep going 9 until it's 9, guys. That's my rule. I'm nothing if not consistent. All right, so Osse is actually on worm phase in Trinex, so this is a much easier portion here.
Yeah, and Eri choosing to use some arrows here. I mean, he's got a bit of disposable income on his hands, so not a bad call here.
Still using the skulls when he still can.
Yeah, and fortunately for both of our runners, that big key didn't end up being behind Ice Armos, because that is, you know, another 180 rupees that you're going to have to spend on getting that fight done, at least.
That's true. I mean, Ice Armos is a really good dodge at this point in time. All right, so Osse is now entering Ganon's Tower, and we're not going to be playing the game again, guys, because, you know.
I mean, if he goes left, that technically will be, what, like, it depends, I guess.
Or Eriror, I'm sorry. Eriror is struggling a little bit with this land mode too, so going to be continuing.
So Osse is making the left side play here. Or the right side play, sorry.
Well, he'll get more rupees. And you know, this seat has really just thrown a ton of money at these runners. So that early bow was really a blessing that they even had the ammo to be able to do.
Yeah, in Retro Seeds, it's not all that common to get a bunch of money. In fact, especially with a hard seed, it's not very common at all. So our runners have got to be very pleased about that.
Absolutely. And you have to remember that, you know, Osse in this case didn't even do the Houlihan room. So he still had that as an option with all the rupees available to them. Just crazy how many rupees these guys had to work with, and such a great race by both of them. Eriror now in the torch room on his way to Muldorm 2.
Yeah, and this is the last little stretch of gauntlet. Wow, Osse is about to pick up the big key.
And Eriror found the book. Of course he found the book in Ganon's tower. I mean, what else could we possibly find there?
I think at this point, really all he's looking for is just a little bit of money for safety, but maybe a heart as well. Could find that.
I mean, he's still only at 11 hearts. Hey, Green Goo, that's actually a little bit nice here for Ganon.
Yeah, and that's our 4th bottle. We know where the other 2 were, so...
Alright, so Eriror is about to start his Geometry Mage fight. Aga 2.
Yeah, and this is some advanced geometry. Having to use the hammer here, so you can't use swordsmans. You know, it's a little harder to line up because of how the hammer's hitbox works.
Nice double, though, and I'm curious, isn't advanced geometry just trig?
Alright, so we're doing some trigonometry today, then.
I'm just curious. I mean, we're all nerds
so.
here. We should know that, right?
I think you're right.
But that was a very clean Aga 2 fight for the hammer by Eriror there, so he is on his way to Mr. Blue Bacon himself right now.
Yeah, and this is, with the hammer and how the hitbox works with the hammer, this is a pretty tough fight. Takes a lot of practice to get this down, a lot of knowledge and playtime of Swordless Seeds to know just where to be when you want to hit him, especially in Phase 2.
Oh, and Ganon is giving us bug facts. Oh, he's got a good setup there for a lot of good smacks. Oh! And that was a Ganon hug. So that's a death for Eri, and he's going right back into it. He can't afford too many more of those. Is there? Could there possibly still be a chance for Osse? Ganon is not easy to hit with the hammer, so this is still anyone's race right now. Signal C asks, will the teleport pattern be different now? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. The teleport pattern does change after a death.
Eri's got to be really careful here, down to 1 heart.
Oh, and another death!
Wow. This seed, I mean, any seed that you're playing for more than 2 hours takes a toll on the runners, but add in the fact that it's swordless, hard, retro, I mean, that's just a lot.
Yeah, these guys are really at their wits' end at this point. Neither of them see a dot done, so they're both super nervous right now. Aries probably getting the stress getting a little bit to him. Only 4 hearts left for Eri. Oh, man.
Yeah, I gotta be really careful here.
Question in chat, what does hard difficulty change? Long story short, Blue Mail Max. Only silvers on Ganon himself. Max hearts at 14. So these guys I mean, it's not a ton of equipment right now, and you got to be super careful.
Yeah, and also potions don't do exactly what they do in normal modes. Red potion's only going to heal 7 hearts. A green potion's only going to fill half your magic meter, so a blue potion will do both of those things.
Oh, O's having some problems in this hellway here. Finally gets up. Eri down to 1 heart again. Meanwhile, O's is starting his geometry mage fight. Oh no! And another death!
Oh my goodness, this is insane.
I've joked in the past about how many Ganon deaths would it take for a runner to catch up. I never thought we would get to see the metric live.
Yeah, and Oss is going to elect to use the bug net here, so some swag strats coming out. So
And got... 2! Oh my god! He's already taken 2 hits from those fire bats.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, Oss defeats Aga, and Eriror dies again!
Oh my god.
We are neck and neck!
This is absolutely unreal. I cannot believe what's happening right now.
And Eri going, no, I can't do this. I'm going to spend some time to go get some potions. After 5 deaths, okay, I can respect that.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. You gotta wonder, since this is Oss's settings, how comfortable he feels with swordless Ganon.
So Oss goes down, grabs the fairy, and Oss now with the bit of an edge, getting into Ganon. Alright, so Oss is now in his first Ganon fight. Meanwhile, Eri backed out, went bought some potions, so he will be doing his Ganon fight. At this point, Oss has, if he has a flawless fight here, and you remember these were his picks, as you said, if he can pull this off because he's comfortable with this fight, it's his race to lose.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's gonna be super, super close.
Oss uses his first potion there. Is that his only potion that he used? Or does he have another?
I think that's it, because he's only got 1 bottle right now.
Oh, Eri. Okay, Eri's popping his blue goo right now, so he was just going to town on Aga. Takes another hit from the fire bats. Oss 4 hearts, Eri 4.5.
And Eri doing something really smart there, grabbing the wall while he's got the cape so that it doesn't drain magic.
And Oss takes the death himself!
Yeah, Eri back in the lead now with phase 3.
Oss nopes out, and he's going to go get some potions. Did we find the silver arrows? Yes, we did. Eri switches over to the silver arrows. 200 rupees. He cannot afford to miss anything. Does not get the torch glitch off.
Yeah, luckily he's got that green goo, though.
Okay, so he's 1 hit away. He's waiting and he's patient to set it up. Meanwhile, Oss bought his potions. He's on his way back. Okay, Eri fires. Oh! And the explosions! Eriror Wow, with the kill. Now he's just got to cross this 1x3 bridge. The most dangerous bridge in the entire game.
Yeah, that took a lot, but good on Eri for sticking through it and finishing up very well. Chat, get your GGs up. This was an incredible performance by both of our runners. Eri, you're finishing in first place.
Absolutely. Eri, you're finishing with a time of 2:25.23. We're going to wait until Osse is finished here as well so we can get them both in here to chat at the same time. But GG, Eri, are finishing this slog of a race.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be a lot to talk about in the interviews. This seed did not hold back at all on our runners today.
Oh, and we have one of our other tournament runners in another group, Willard J. Bradley, talking a little bit of trash in chat. Give me Eriror in brackets, expert swordless. All right, Willard.
Hot takes.
Osse now uses his potion and is... Oh, he's taking a lot of damage right now.
Yeah, he might be just trying to tank it to get through this phase.
Phase 3. He's on phase 3 right now, so he's just got to get through this phase. No errant fire bats, I hope.
All right, that's 2 hits.
Did we find the arrows in the light world? Yes, we did. Ooh, that fire bat almost got him. And he also got the torch glitch, so he's set up very well right at the moment.
Yeah, it's really convenient when you're dealing with silver arrows, for sure.
Oh, he took a fire bat, but he had an extra potion available. Whew. Oh, so you scared me there for a second, buddy.
Wow. Yeah, that was very terrifying.
And is this the 4th and final silver arrow into Ganon's face? GG, Osse101. He must now cross the same fabled 1x3 bridge.
Yeah, again, GG's for Osse here. Make sure to get those in the chat. They both did a phenomenal job navigating this seed.
GG to both Eriror and Osse. And as we're waiting for them to join the room, follow them here on Twitch. If you haven't followed them yet already, what are you doing with your lives? My God, they gave us a heck of a show tonight.
Yeah.
And joining us now, both Eriror and Osse101. GG to both of you.
GG's.
GG.
So the question becomes, have you deleted the seed from your computers yet? Because that thing stunk.
It was okay. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I just managed to last location a bunch of stuff. But it really wasn't too bad. I mean, it said it was a defeat Ganon seed, but it was an all dungeon seed. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, I was trying to dodge an all dungeon seed, and then it's turned into Agapad. So it's not what I wanted the seed to be.
I mean, it absolutely... it ended up being an all dungeon seed. We don't often get to see a glove upgrade be on the pedestal. We were debating at one point in time, it could have been one glove upgrade on the pedestal, the other one in the Pyramid Fairy. I mean, Pyramid Fairy ended up being nothing there, but you both ended up having to check it. I mean, you both just about 100% this seed, other than the Ganon's Tower climb. I mean, you were both effectively neck and neck. up till your first trip into Turtle Rock, and then it was just trading places back and forth for a good 30, 40 minutes there.
Yeah, I made a really big mistake about forgetting about the cane location, because I never went down to library or race game until very late. And,
Yep.
and that actually messed up my mirror routing. Once I sequence broke mirror.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Was that something that you just forgot about, or is that something that you're like, oh, well, I'll wait until I have the boots until I route that in?
I just forgot. It wasn't until I got what I thought was my last location, and then I paused on the map for a bit, and then I remembered. So, it was bad.
I mean, it was bad, but you were still making progress as you're going through, so it wasn't a complete disaster at that point in time. Meanwhile, Eri, you had kind of a few untimely deaths as you're going through that seed. What's going through your mind as it not only trolls you that hard, but you have a couple deaths here and there?
Yeah, I didn't play too well overall. I definitely would expect better from myself. I don't know. I kind of expected a few deaths on Aussie's side as well. Just the nature of Swordless Heart, I think. And yeah, from the Trinix death, I guess I think that might be his only one considering his time. And then the Ganon, but
yeah, those are my only two.
Yeah.
I was real mad at the Trinix death because I was knocked into a spike, but I had time to get my potion out before dying.
Yeah, that's super rough. Yeah, I had a couple minor deaths in Mire and Hera, and they were really dumb. That's light inexperience with swordless. I'm just so used to having a sword. And it's not like I never play swordless, but yeah, at some point there's just this muscle memory from routing ingrained in you, like how you do the rooms with a sword, and it's really hard to get rid of that. And then you just take a bunch of damage when you should. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yep, my read is that swordless would be a good counterpick.
Yeah. And it's pretty funny. Just a disclaimer, I've done multiple, at least 8 swordless seeds the past few months, ever since I knew about this tourney and was seriously practicing for it. And I've never died to Ganon. So today was not a good day. It happens.
Hey, it absolutely does happen. So, Eri, maybe you can tell me one more time when you're on Ganon, and you took quite a few deaths there on Ganon. What was going through your mind with each successive death? Just waiting for the dot done, or what's going through your mind there?
Yeah, I was pretty stressed, of course, because I didn't play too well. Even though I felt like I might have had a buffer, and my GT was pretty solid. But after the first few deaths were okay, fine. This is still okay, and I'm pretty confident on Ganon. Even though it didn't look like I knew what I was doing, I felt like I knew what I was doing. At some point, I just was okay, you know what? I'm gonna take the time loss. I'm gonna get the potion, and we'll see what happens. If I lose because of that, well, so be it. I can't keep on just dying to Ganon like this, because I was, as was mentioned, I was getting pretty stressed out.
Yep. By the time I got to Ganon, I was kind of already banking on Eri making mistakes and taking deaths. So I just wanted to make sure I'd get the kill. And really, I shouldn't have died to Ganon, but I did.
I mean, the way we figured it, this is a seed that went on, 30 to 45 minutes longer than we anticipated any race going. So we figured by about the 2-hour mark, the stress starts to set in, and you start making, little micro mistakes here and there, and it just kind of amplified things going down the road.
Yeah, I was definitely getting exhausted, just by the nature of it being a pretty busy period for me right now. So some real stuff, and that being tired like that doesn't help. Now that's a very good excuse, but it does add up. It's not like I'm not used to long receipts, because I do pick all dungeons key sanity against everyone. But yeah, just a slightly unfamiliar mode together with, knowing that Aussie could be right on my tail. It does add up.
All right. Well, Hahassel, do you have anything else to ask these guys? I figure we're probably running a little bit later than we're expected to run right now, so I want to kind of wrap things up. But do you have anything that you wanted to ask as well?
Nothing that I wanted to ask, but I just want to, say again, GG's to both of you. This is definitely, from what I've seen of the tournament matches so far, this is probably the hardest seed. Just in terms of everything it threw at you, and you both handled it incredibly well, and that's very impressive. So GG's to both of you, and good job.
Oh, thanks. And I'm looking forward to the last race. It should be a good one.
Last race is scheduled for 11:30 Eastern on 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, restream time.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if we have a schedule yet going for Sunday, but after this race, I got to imagine we might be trying to put that one up on Restream, because that was hype. But with that, we want to try to get things wrapped up here. GG to both Osse101 and Eriror. Again, if you haven't followed them here on Twitch, it is the easiest way to support the runners. Absolutely give them a follow. I also want to give a shout out to our tracker doing all the work behind the scenes, making things look easy. Tirasu, thank you so much for doing all the tracking. And of course, my co-commentator, Hahassel. Thank you so much for going on that journey with me.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing it with me. This was quite a journey, and definitely one of the best races I've seen out of this tournament. So it was really good to be along with everybody. It was a good time.
Absolutely. Remember to follow Speed Gaming 1 through 6 and ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4 for all of your randomizer action. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get signed out. Stay tuned for more races, and we'll see you guys at the next race. Have a great rest of your night.
Have a good one, everyone.